Welcome to Rotary Focus. My name is Bill Dendy, and it is my sincere pleasure to be with you today, introducing to you Rotarians who do good work in their careers and do good work for the world at large. Today we have with us fellow Rotarian, a man who joined Rotary in 1997 in Midland, Texas, who's now here in the Dallas Metroplex, working with one of the companies that is bounded in our Metroplex area, Taco Casa. As Vice President of Public Relations, Jim has done a lot of work promoting the Taco Casa brand. But beyond that, Jim has taken the time to create, to found, and become the president of the F.L.A.G program, a program that we as Rotarians are very happy to support. Let us please welcome Mr. Jim Rodriguez.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes and dobre utra. Now you're saying, Jim, why did you say good afternoon in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Russian? Because when you heard that the founder and president of the F.L.A.G program was going to share with you some exciting and passionate words about our American flag, everyone came rushing over. That's my joke for the day. Okay. Let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Jim Rodriguez. I spent 21 years of the younger part of my life serving our country as a member of the United States Air Force. I was drafted in 1972. I was a freshman at McMurray College. Now it's McMurray University. Went to my mailbox. There was a white envelope in the box. I grabbed it. I went to the Air Force recruiter in Denton that following weekend. I go, what does this mean? And he laughed at me and he said, "Ha, we got you." I go, what are you talking about? He said, you've just been drafted. I go, well, what do I do? He says, you have 30 days to make up your mind on what branch of service you want to join. If you don't make up your mind in 30 days, we're going to take you into the United States Army and send you straight to Vietnam. Now, I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I know how to get to the shed and back. So I raised my hand and said, I want to join the Air Force. That's what I want to do. Smartest decision I ever made in my life. 21 years later, at the ripe old age of 39, I retired. I've been retired now for 31 years. But in my heart, I think I still serve our country on a daily basis. Besides being the founder and president of the F.L.A.G program, I'm also the full-time vice president of public relations and development for a little Tex-Mex restaurant by the name of Taco Casa. And by the way, today, while we're filming, just happens to be Taco Tuesday. Thank you very much. So let's begin with the story. I was working for another Tex-Mex restaurant at the corporate level, and I was living in Waxahachie, Texas. Let me repeat that. Waxahachie, Texas. I just like to say the word. My daughter was a freshman in school, so I would have to drop her off to get to my office in Dallas. So I dropped her off around 7 o'clock every morning. I'd sit in my car, watch my little baby girl walk into the campus. Well, during that time, the custodian would be walking out the front doors with our American flag bundled up under this armpit, the Texas flag bundled up under this armpit. He'd be walking out to the flag poles. Every once in a while, he would drop the flags on the ground. The kids were walking. They could have cared less. They didn't know what was going on. But this retired master sergeant, former basic military training instructor, was holding on to the steering wheel saying, not on my watch. So I called the principal. I said, Mr. Principal, can you and I have a friendly meeting? Mr. Rodriguez, I'd love to meet with you. What are we going to talk about? I said, your American and Texas flags. I love those flags. Let's meet. I said, okay. So we met in his office. When I walked in, I asked his permission if I could shut the door. He goes, why do you want to shut the door? I said, because we need to start this meeting with a prayer. You should have seen his eyes. You want to pray in my office? I said, yes, sir, I think we're going to need it. So I led us in prayer. After the prayer, I opened the door and he goes, my gosh, what is the problem? I said, the way you are treating and disrespecting the American and Texas flag is the problem. He looked at me, he goes, my janitors take care of that. I said, what time do they raise the flags in the morning? He goes, at 7. Are you here? No, that's too early for me. What time do they bring them down? Around 4:30. Are you here? Yeah, but I'm busy. So you don't watch the flags go up and you don't watch the flags come down. That's why I have a custodian. I said, that sounds fair enough. But Mr. Principal, there's no way that one person can give the respect, protocol, and etiquette that our flags deserve in going up in the morning and coming down in the afternoon. There's no way he can properly fold the American flag and Texas flag by himself. I said, how many kids do you have on your campus? He goes, 500. You have 500 students and one custodian taking care of the American and Texas flag. He looked at me and says, are you going to be part of the problem or are you going to be part of the solution? I said, I have a solution. He goes, what are you suggesting? I said, give me a bunch of kids. I will train them, motivate them to raise, lower, and properly fold both flags every day during the school year. And he looked at me and he says, can we do that? I said, sir, you are the CEO of this campus. You can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt the kids. He says, okay, I'm for it. I said, I'll be back tomorrow. So I went back to Waxahachie. There was one military building in Waxahachie, Texas, and that was the building for the United States Army recruiters. Remember, 21 years, United States Air Force. So I had to take a little piece of that humble pie, walked into the Army recruiting station, and there was a Sergeant Rivera, Mr. Poster Boy, Army recruiter. I walked up to Sergeant Rivera and I said, sir, would you be interested in helping me train some kids on how to properly raise, lower, and fold our American and Texas flag? Sergeant Rivera's response was not, I'll get back to you. It was not, let me check my schedule. It was not, let me check with my supervisor and I'll get back to you. Sergeant Rivera's response was, when do we get started? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, give the United States Army a short round of applause. That's enough, okay? Yay, United States Army, Air Force. I will remind you of that during my entire presentation. But my lineage goes back to the Army. My grandfather from Acuña, Mexico, joined the Army and fought during World War I. After he was honorably discharged, he automatically became an American citizen. That is how my last name of Rodriguez became Americanized. That's how we became citizens of this great country, because of the service of my grandfather. So thank you. Yes, I do love the United States Army and the other branches. We're all one big happy family. So I went back. Mr. Principal, what kids were you going to let me have? Why don't you start with my student council? How many kids are there? 35. I said, okay, we'll start with 35. And he said, what are you going to call the program? I said, I want to call it Fly, Lower, and Fold. But that didn't have a ring to it. You belong to the F.L.A.G program. I needed a letter G. So I called my baby sister, said, hey, sis, I need a word that begins with the letter G that shows that you're putting stuff together. She called me back 5 minutes later, and she said, use the word gather. Fly, lower, and gather. An acronym for FLAG. I said, thank you, sis. And she goes, not so fast. I go, why? Because anytime you give a presentation and talk about the FLAG program, I want you to give your baby sister credit for the letter G. I said, are you serious? That's the deal. If you can't promise me that, that G goes back to me. My baby sister. I said, you got a deal. So for the past 13 years, Anytime I've given a flag program presentation, I have given my baby sister from Duncanville, Texas, credit for the letter G. And it does have a nice ring to it, don't you think? The flag program. Fly, lower, and gather. So we started the flag program. Every morning, the kids were raising the flag, lowering the flag. I created a curriculum for elementary, middle school, and high school so they would get familiar with some facts about the flag, some facts about our American history, about our presidents. That way they would see, oh, it all comes together. That's why we're proud Americans. So the principal said, when do you want to officially kick off the program? I said, Columbus Day. He goes, why did you pick Columbus Day? I've been teaching history since 1974, so my history will kick in every once in a while. I said, sir, Columbus Day, 1892. I said, do you know what's significant about that day? He goes, no. 1892 was the first day in America that the Pledge of Allegiance was recited. To honor the flag on Columbus Day, 1892. Our kids need to know that. How long the Pledge of Allegiance has been around. He says, great idea. So on Columbus Day 2010, we stood in front of the schools. The kids came out carrying the flags. The newspaper was there. They put us on the front page. A nice article. Oh, Mr. Jim Rodriguez, a patriot, created this. Sergeant Rivera. I mean, it was a full-page article. At the very end of the article, guess what was there? My telephone number on the front page of the newspaper. The next day, I get a phone call. Mr. Rodriguez, are you the guy that goes around schools and teaches our kids how to raise, lower, and fold the American flag? I said, no. I sell tacos. A lot of tacos. That's what I do for a living. No, Mr. Rodriguez, you got to understand one thing. Our kids need this information. Our kids need to be educated about what that flag represents. Our kids need to know that this flag represents the men and women that have died for our freedom, the men and women that have retired after serving for our country, the men and women that are crippled today because of this flag. Mr. Rodriguez, please come to our school and start your flag program. I was humbled, I was honored, and I said, okay. But after phone call, after phone call, after phone call, I realized that I needed some help. I needed to create a 501c3 so I could create a citizenship award, so I could award a flag lapel pin, so I could create a handbook that taught everything you want to know about the flag program, but were afraid to ask. I needed to create flyers so every child could take the information home and explain to their parents why they wanted to be members of the flag program. So we created a 501c3. Never in my wildest imagination did I ever think that that little mustard seed, and if you go back to your Bible, the mustard seed is defined as the smallest seed known to man. It is smaller than a grain of pepper. But you plant that mustard seed, and it grows into a tree that cows stand under for shade. Never in my wildest dream did I think that the flag program would grow from one school in Waxahachie, Texas. And as I speak to you today, we are in 9 states, over 200 schools, over 5,000 students strong, teaching them the proper protocol, the proper honor, the proper etiquette that this flag, now I get a little emotional, that this flag represents. Why they should stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay? Pledge of Allegiance, 1892, was changed in 1923 for the first time. The original Pledge of Allegiance started out, I pledge allegiance to my flag. Well, Congress said, wait a minute, there could be a problem with that. My flag could stand for my Irish flag, my Mexican flag. So in 1923, they changed it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you, Congress. It stayed that way until 1954. Our president, President Eisenhower, said, "We just got through with one of the worst wars that this world has ever seen. By the grace of God, we need to add to the pledge, under God." 1954, the pledge added, under God. Do you also know that President Eisenhower is the only president that asked for permission at his inaugural address? He asked the permission of the crowd. May I start this with a prayer? Ladies and gentlemen, we teach that to our kids. We teach that type of information in our FLAG program. 9 states. Folks, I need some help. I got 41 more to go. I'm not going to see it in my lifetime. I know that. It's taken me 13 years to get to 9 states. Someone in the audience do the math. 9 states in 13 years. This kid, this 72-year-old man with a heart of a 45-year-old, I got energy, I have passion. I need your help. Your service club, the mottos that we use: we serve, one child at a time, service. I need your help. I can't do it by myself. I'm blessed with a board of directors that say, "Jim, go for it." I'm blessed with the President's Advisory Council that are not shy, that'll say, "Jim, we need to do this, we need to do that." I have been blessed to be a blessing. My full-time job is working for Taco Casa. Taco Casa supports the FLAG program 110%. The owner says, "Jim, if there is a FLAG program school anywhere near a Taco Casa, we will feed the students and we'll feed the staff for free." My gosh, what have you got to lose? Give me a school near a Taco Casa and I'll take care of you. But the program requires funds, our handbooks, our literature. How do I get to the schools? I have a school in Michigan. I have 8 schools in Tennessee. We have a school in Florida. We have schools in Arizona, Oklahoma. Kansas is joining us this year. South Carolina wants to know how to join us. I have a few towns in Oklahoma. Mr. Rodriguez, how do we do this? Look on our website, www.theflagprogram.org. Everything you want to know on how to start the FLAG program, contact us. We'll mail you the campus handbook, but I will tell you one thing. Without the principal's blessing and without the principal's support, the FLAG program cannot get into an elementary, middle school, or high school. The principals are the key element to the FLAG program. I know that. I can't win every battle, but I'll try to win a war every once in a while. I went to a school where the principal looked me straight in the eye, said, "Mr. Rodriguez, our kids don't have time for your flag." And I looked at him. I said, "My flag? I thought it was our flag. That's the American flag." I wasn't going to argue with him. I wasn't going to fight with him, but I'll never, to this day, 13 years ago, will forget the name of his school. Are you ready for this? He was the principal of the Ronald Reagan Middle School. Ladies and gentlemen, he would be turning over right now. Ronald Reagan, Mr. America, and the principal said no, but that's okay. Did it deter my passion and love for our flag? No. I've been around long enough to see both sides when I was a young airman in Wichita Falls, Texas. A young airman. It was our first visit out of a base. We couldn't wait to go to a McDonald's. And I said the word M. Remember, I sell tacos for a living, and I said McDonald's. We went to McDonald's in our crisp Air Force uniforms. At that time, they were called 1505. They were khaki colored. We were in there ordering. A bunch of young men came in, looked at us. They started laughing, and they spit on us. They spit on my Air Force uniform. Now, that incident alone could have put a big chip on my shoulder on how I felt about serving this flag and this Constitution. I carry a copy of the Constitution every day with me. So in case someone wants to exchange some verbiage or some facts, well, here, let me pull out the book. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the kids love this program. They enjoy participating. The principal has to pick a teacher that's going to be the campus leader. All they have to do is supervise it. If a campus leader is ever raising or lowering or helping fold the flag, they're not doing their job. They have kids that are going to be trained to do that. I just need adult supervision and leadership at every campus. If you look at my calendar, I've been invited already to be a guest speaker for 22 service organization clubs the day before Veterans Day. I can only do one. I'll be in Granbury, Texas, being part of their huge Veterans Day celebration. I'm proud of the people that support me. I'm proud of organizations like the Rotary clubs and the other service organizations. I'm proud of that. As you heard, I think you heard, I joined the Rotary back in 1997 in Midland, Texas. Good old Midland, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere, West Texas. That's where I got indoctrinated to the Rotary program. I fell in love with it, okay? Because my job at that time was to go bring the high school student, and we had 2 high schools, big ones, and bring them to our Rotary luncheon and reward them with a certificate for what they were doing for their community. I loved doing that. So when I go through the states and I am invited to be the guest speaker, number one, I'm humbled, I'm honored, but I always, after my presentation, always get someone that says, we need this in our school. I hear that all the time. It's very easy to tell the founder and the president right there, face to face, Mr. Rodriguez, that was fantastic. We need this in our school. 85% of the time, I never hear from them again. The excitement calms down. My excitement is not going to calm down. My wife asked me to calm down. Everyone says, Jim, calm down. I don't have time. I'm running out of time. I need some young folks. I need some principals. I need some Rotary clubs to say, we can do this. There's a Rotary club in every state in the United States of America. I'm only in 9. I have 41 more to go. So I humbly ask for your support, whether it be to establish a flag program, whether it be to donate to the flag program. We're a 501c3. We will gladly accept your donations in support of educating our kids, educating our youth, the future of America. It's that simple. If they're not educated, don't blame the kid because they don't know how to respect the Pledge of Allegiance. Don't blame the kid because they don't know what to do when the national anthem is played. National anthem originally was called The Defense of Fort McHenry, written by Francis Scott Key. The morning of 1814, Fort McHenry had been bombed for 25 continuous hours by the greatest naval force in America, and they could not defeat the 1,000 men that were inside Fort McHenry. Major Armistead said, "I want the biggest flag you can make so the British will know that we're here." The flag was 40 by 32 feet. That's a big flag. It did not go down. Fort McHenry was named in honor of who? General Washington's first Secretary of War. You're saying, "Jim, all this history, you know why I'm sharing it with you?" Because our kids are taught that in the FLAG program. Our kids are given little bits of information. Which president named it the White House? You're saying, well, why is that important? Because it's our history. It was not always the White House until Teddy Roosevelt said, "I want that to be called the White House." Thank you, President Roosevelt. So on behalf of my board of directors, on behalf of my President's Advisory Council, on behalf of superintendents, principals, teachers, parents, communities, service organizations, I humbly thank you for your support and your continued support. And may God bless you, and may God bless America. Thank you.